Hey everybody, what is shaking? We got kind of a different style show today in that usually we go live and we'll do the whole show, whether we do it out in the backyard or we do it here. And by the way, we're going to try to start incorporating the brewery shows at some point when the weather gets a little bit better. So hopefully you guys come out there and join us at, I won't tell you where, but if you see like the hats I wear, the shirts I wear, the beers I talk about, you probably have a pretty decent idea of where we might be doing these shows from. But we're going to try to do that, once a month, once every 2 months, once every 3 months. Not really sure yet. Again, we're still kind of figuring this thing out. As I told you, the idea was to have maybe a guest a week, and it's turned into 4 guests this week. So it's going to evolve, and it's going to be what it's going to be. But today we had a chance to catch up with Jay Wright, the former head coach of the Villanova Wildcats, 2-time national champs. And then yesterday I had a chance to catch up with Brandon Hyde, Santa Rosa's own, and now the manager of the Baltimore Orioles. So we're getting ready for the tourney this weekend, and baseball starting tomorrow. So I thought we'd talk a little baseball, talk a little college hoops, and get you ready for that. But before we do that, we do have to get to the brackets because this thing has just really jumped up and surprised me. Jeffrey Dahmer and the Zodiac. Look at that. Are you absolutely serious? Zodiac, the hometown boy, getting it done, riding the wave of the love from the Bay Area. And why is the printer going off? There's nobody else in this house. If something prints there, I just thought, what if I'm doing this bracket and something prints there and it's like a mugshot of somebody, or like I don't even want to look. I got to be honest with you. I didn't do anything. I don't even know how to do anything. I mean, I do if I had to, but now I'm good. That was a little spooky. I don't know why that went off. But Zodiac and Dahmer have over 300 votes. 300 votes, and Zodiac's got him by like 6 or 7 votes total. So that would be a massive upset, a huge upset if Zodiac took down Dahmer, served him a dish of death. Kemper's getting crushed. The rest of them are like, just again, we're kind of into the like 20 years ago NCAA women's tournament where first couple rounds, the better teams just throttled their opponents. And that's what Gacy's doing to Kemper. Ramirez Berkowitz a little bit closer. And then Bundy is just hammering BTK. Maybe we should have I should have emphasized BTK. One of the people on Twitter mentioned that nobody knows him by Dennis Rader, and they don't. Look, I'm just showing how sick I am that I do know him by his real name, not necessarily on a first name basis, but I do know the name. Although I will say this, I did spell it wrong the first time. I was spelling it with an A, so I don't know him that well, or it's an E. But yeah, everybody knows. Well, not everybody, but if you know him, you probably know him by BTK, which is garbage anyway. He gave himself that nickname. You can't give yourself a nickname, okay? All great nicknames are given to people. You don't take it. That's why the whole, as much as I love Kobe, you can't just call yourself the Black Mamba. You can't call yourself something super cool and then say, this is my nickname. Because if everybody got to choose their own nickname, we'd all have super cool nicknames. Are you going to give yourself a dumb nickname? An ironical nickname? No, you're going to give yourself something super cool. I don't even know what mine would be. I can't even think of it off the top of my head. I don't really have a nickname other than T Square, Double T, Super Stud. That's about it. Yeah, out of those 3, which one did I make up? But you just, all the nicknames. I go by the hockey nickname thing. My buddy Craig Bergman, Bergie. My friend Steve Davidson, Davey. Jerry Friedman, Freedy. That's a hockey nickname, right? You shorten it or add a Y. That's what you do. And if you already have a Y, then you just shorten it. Gretzky, Gretz. right? I mean, you just shorten it. And I love that. It just keeps it very, very simple, very clean. You have a Y, shorten it. You don't have a Y, we'll add a Y. Very weird, isn't it? Maybe that's what happens when you get hit in the head all the time. You're like, hey, you have a Y. Let's shorten yours. You don't have a Y. Let's give you his Y. What does it give you his Y that we took away from him? And that'll be your nickname. And that's pretty easy. Although there was with the Sharks, it was Jumbo Joe Thornton, and then Little Joe Pavelski. You had Jumbo and Little Joe, and I don't remember everybody else's nickname. But there we go. BTK. You can't just say, hey, this is my, but it stuck. It did. There's a lot of other things that stuck too, but that definitely stuck. BTK. So there you go. If you want to get in and vote, I'm going to be open until next Tuesday. You want to do Tuesday? Want to do Monday? What do you want to do? I was thinking Monday because we're going to have like 4 people after this. The final 4, the Fiendish 4, I should say. The Fiendish 4 is going to be incredible. That is going to be one for the ages. But Dahmer and Zodiac have over 300 votes, and they're separated, like I said, by like 6 votes. 6, 8, somewhere around there. I mean, it's tight. It is a tight one. So get out there, vote early, vote often. I think the rest, it'd be a shock if there was any comebacks. I think Kemper's run ends. Berkowitz, sorry, and BTK. No, finally time for the gas. So we look like we're going to have all the big boys except
Monday through Monday at 5.
Monday through Monday at 5. So this Monday at 5, you'll have a chance to vote through this Monday at 5. And look, if you want to see local kid make good, you want to vote for him, and then get on there and vote for Zodiac. 51% right now. That would be the biggest upset of the tourney by far. I mean, Kemper beat Ridgeway, and I kind of messed that up too because I could have put Green River Killer. I think people might have known him better. The names were kind of throwing people a little bit. So, look, you live and you learn, right? You live and you learn. But I'm not going to learn because I'm not going to do this again. So I'm not gonna have to worry about it. And then next week baseball season will have started, so we'll talk a little baseball next week. I do want to talk baseball this year. I love baseball, so we just this week was we are talking baseball with Brandon Hyde, but like kind of big picture baseball. Who I think is going to be Dodgers. Who else is going to be Phillies? Like I think then the Braves. Like I think those are the 3 best teams in the National League, especially if the Braves get Acuna and Strider back. They can beat the Dodgers in a playoff series. Phillies can beat the Dodgers in a playoff series. I absolutely believe that. I would say the Dodgers are a better bet to make the playoffs because they're just so deep. Their pitching is absurd. Forget their lineup. Their pitching is ridiculous. And I mean, the Braves have a fantastic lineup and really good pitching too. Not like the Dodgers. Phillies have a tremendous lineup and solid pitching, not like the Dodgers. And then you look at the back end of the bullpen, not like the Dodgers. So, but all you got to do is make the playoffs. Once you make the playoffs, 4 out of 7, who knows? Could happen. And then we'll get into the American League a little bit as well. I still cannot believe the A's are going to be playing in Sacramento. How bizarre is that going to be? I still love Fisher. It's very intimate. It's minor league ballpark. No shit, it's intimate. Let's stop making that out as like a benefit to the fans. Hey, come sit on the grandstand. It's very, very intimate. I mean, you know what else is intimate? Like high school. No one wants to sit in high school. Like nobody wants to sit there at the park and watch those games. You do it because your kid's playing. You don't want to be there. You're like, I just want to see my kid play. My ass hurts because I'm sitting on this metal grandstand. Like, I don't know what the seats are going to look like. I don't know what the field's going to look like. I'll watch it. I got to watch first A's game. I got to see how they tighten it up so you don't know you're in Sacramento. Like, you're probably not going to get a lot of wide shots. I can't wait till they show the first wide shot to the Bay Bridge. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. That's like 100 miles away. If you're in Santa Clara and you want to show the bridge, you're stretching it, but okay. Sacramento, don't show the bridge. Are they going to show downtown Sacramento? Because they're really not even Sacramento. They're just there. It's like a way station until they get to Vegas. So what are they going to show? Exterior shots? Don't know. Are they going to show the ballpark? I bet you they don't pan out and show you how small it is. I bet you they keep it tight. Just keep it tight in there. So you're like, oh man, it looks like it could be packed. If you don't know, we know it's not going to be. It's not. It's just. But if you go to the game, cool. I mean, you go to the game, it is going to be intimate. There's no doubt about it. But I just loved how Fisher kept mentioning, the most intimate ballpark. Yeah, you're playing a fucking minor league ballpark, Johnny. You haven't figured that one out? Like, what do you think you're pulling one over on everybody? Oh, this is a great deal for everybody. It's a great deal. Like, you're going to be so close. You're going to be able to see Aaron Judge. You're going to be able to see. And I loved how I mentioned all the other players, not his players. Oh, look who's going to be coming to town. It'd be great. Reminded me of the old Clippers slogan when I played for the Clippers. Come see Jordan. Come see Kevin Johnson and the Suns. Come see Charles Barkley. Come see. Like, are you going to sell your team? You going to no? Okay. That's why when we used to get booed during pregame introductions. Not all the crowd, but half of them or more than half of them, because they were there for the Suns or the Lakers or somebody else, not us, because they kept promoting who was coming to town. That kind of reminds me of what the A's are doing. But I feel bad for the fans. I feel bad for the players. If Fisher choked, it's not going to bother me one way or the other. And then Cavill, I guess that guy quit, huh? That little weasel. I think he took off. I guess he served his purpose, and I guess he's out. That guy, please. All right, so we'll get into baseball next week. We'll kind of recap the weekend. Next week will probably be a little bit different. We're going to try to get 3 shows in. Could be 2. I got to be in Tucson for some family stuff this weekend. So we're going to be out there until Tuesday. So we'll see what the schedule is next week, but we'll figure it out. We'll have some good stuff for you come next week, and then we'll be fully into baseball season, and NBA playoffs are going to be coming up, and that'll be fun. So we're not sure exactly what we're going to do during the NBA playoffs, but we might have some fun stuff during the NBA playoffs, certainly as long as the Warriors are in the NBA playoffs. We'll be breaking down NBA games right and left when the playoffs come around, so it should be a lot of fun. So I hope everybody enjoys the show. Jay Wright is going to join me, and then Brandon Hyde of the Baltimore Orioles will join me as well. Enjoy, everybody. All right, it is my pleasure today to welcome to the show former head coach of the Villanova Wildcats, 2-time national champs, was also a member of the 2020 staff for the United States men's national team that won the gold medal that year. Jay Wright joined us on the show. Jay, what is going on?
Good to see you, my man. Last time we were together, we're out in the Bay Area. Now we're split by the coast, but good to be with you, buddy.
Yeah, that's the first time I've been on a coach with a court. They didn't tell me to get on the line and run. So I was very happy.
and actually listen to you. I was interested in your thoughts out there instead of telling you what to do.
Believe me, I got it from Luton Nelly plenty. I'm like, I'm done with that life. Done with that life.
You were amazed that I was actually asking you questions on what did you do in this situation? What would you do?
Yeah, never happened.
You weren't used to that on the court.
No, Nelly didn't give a crap what I care. He didn't care. He's like, I'm not going to ask you. Do what I tell you to do. I'm like, look, I'm good with that. Just as long as I'm getting minutes, I'm pretty happy. Before we get to the games themselves, I want to ask you about something that Tom Izzo addressed yesterday, which I didn't even know existed, and I was like shaking my head to find out that it did. The transfer portals opened during the NCAA tournament, and I understand we want to get this thing going, and the kids want to get to their new places and all that, but can't we delay it a few weeks and let March Madness take center stage and leave the portal till after? I mean, is that too much to ask? Is it too hard, or do you think they should do that?
Yeah, definitely, Tom. We're in an era where the NCAA has lost so many, almost every court case that they've been involved in, that they're just fearful to make any rules that they just think they're going to get sued and lose again. So they're making every rule completely in the favor of the players, which a lot of times is not even really in their best interest. I think they're just making rules now so they don't get sued and lose another court case. Because it's crazy right now. I mean, there's some guys that are playing that are on teams, especially in the NIT, CBI, that are already in the transfer portal, and they're going to play. Some are going to play for the team, some are not. And you know, in even up until a few years ago, the recruiting period wouldn't start until after the Final Four, because we had the coaches convention at the Final Four. So the NABC wanted to have the coaches at the convention, right? So they knew if they had a recruiting period and the guys had a choice to be at the convention or recruiting, they'd be recruiting. So they made the recruiting rules such that you can't go out on the road until the Wednesday after the Final Four. I think they should do the same thing with the transfer portal now, because you can't have guys, and you know there are guys on these teams that are playing right now that are being contacted. It's just it's ridiculous. It really is.
I wonder if there's going to be someone who's playing against a team, either in the NCAA, CBI, which I still think is hilarious, or the NIT, that transfers to the team they're playing against this weekend.
It could be, man. It could be.
It's wild.
The guard.
It really is, though, Jay. It's just it's a whole different frontier. What do you think about 78 teams? I think 68's more than enough. I know they want more games, and I know everybody's looking for ways to make more money. So to make more money, add a few more games. I mean, that's what the NBA has done with the play-in. They didn't need the play-in game. It's just, hey, let's give the more cities more of a chance to get to the playoffs than we do. We can capitalize and have a week-long play-in game, kind of single elimination almost style format, and it draws ratings. That's fine. I mean, I get it. But this is another one of those where it's like, you don't need this. We don't need 10 more teams in the NCAA tournament. If you want to just come out and say we need more money, then okay, and go ahead and do it. But to me, it's like, I don't want to say useless, but we don't need it.
I'm okay if we go to 76. I'm okay. I mean, obviously, I think it's great the way it is. If we go to 76, I'm okay, because it doesn't affect all of the teams that are not playing, that would not play on Tuesday and Wednesday. Where, you know, you talk about the NBA, by setting up those playing games, you have other teams that are not playing for a long period of time at the end of the season, and you're out of your rhythm. And I just wouldn't want that to happen, because if you went past 76, then you'd have to increase the length of the tournament, which I think would affect the quality of play. Having gone through this tournament and played 6 games, you're exhausted by that point in the season, playing 6 games there in 3 weeks. And if it lengthened the tournament and forced teams that got what would become double buys to sit out for that period of time, I think you lose the juice in the tournament. So I wouldn't want to add any more days. If we added 4 more games or 2 more games each day, right, which would be 8 teams, I could live with it.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the matchups this weekend. It's interesting because there's no Cinderellas. Like, the Slipper's gone, and she's back cleaning the floors, and it's just like it's all the elites at the party now, which is fine by me. I mean, I love Cinderella, but give me all the big boys getting after it, and I'm good with that too. The games this weekend are going to be fantastic. Well, let's start with my guys, Arizona, going against Duke, who is maybe the most complete team in the country. Now, the one thing I think Arizona has going for them is they played Duke earlier this year and lost to him by 15 in Tucson. So I think that's always a good motivator. And I think Caleb Love is such a barometer for that team, because if his shot selection is good, he's usually pretty stable and he gives you a good, efficient effort. Sometimes the shot selection gets a little wonky. And then other than Delorso, they really can't shoot from the outside. But how do you go down slowing down Duke with Cooper Flags? Like, I mean, that guy's he's amazing, but he's not all they have.
Yeah, you're right. And, to address your point about Cinderella, it's kind of crazy to think about. The Cinderella is Arkansas.
Yeah, exactly.
Twin seed. I mean, that's your Cinderella. And I think that's where we're going to see this tournament going in the future with NIL, the strength of the Big Ten and the Big 12 and the SEC. And I think the ACC will get it going, and so will the Big East. But I think you're going to see all these other leagues are going to be one bid leagues, and you might catch like Colorado State was good enough. They were literally good enough to beat Maryland. I mean, they make the shot. Maryland's got to hit his shot. Derek Queen's got to hit a shot at the buzzer.
Yeah, amazing shot.
A team or two like that once in a while, but I think this is what we're going to see the tournament to be in the future. To your point, the big boys going at it, which is really what we all love. But you do early in the tournament, you like the Cinderella.
Yes,
right? And
exactly.
I coached at Hofstra, and I was a mid-major guy, so I get it. You got to have a part of it. But I think it's going to be more this way, which is great basketball. And to talk about your Wildcats, this is really interesting to me for some of the points that you mentioned, that they did play Duke. And I don't think Arizona was yet the complete team that they are now. And I agree. And I don't think Duke was either. Duke was still young too. But I think Duke was a little bit more settled in who they were at that time. And if I was Tommy Lloyd, I would look at my team right now and know that I've got a way to play them. Arizona is a pretty physical team. And I've been interested in your point, Tom, if you would have considered – I never considered Arizona teams to be real physical. I consider them to be talented and not soft, just really talented, athletic, skilled team with Toby Awaka, Trey Townsend, even Bradley Love, KJ Lewis. Like these guys are physical, man, and
get after you.
And I would dirty this game up, man. I would take Duke into the mud, and what I mean by that is just drive it at them, be physical, keep them offensively, keep them out of the paint, make them shoot jumpers over us, be physical on their drives, offensive rebound on them like Arizona can do it, and just try to steal one in the end. I think they have a chance to do that, and they've played them before, so it's not going to take them time to adjust to their length. I think when you play Duke this year, their length is the average size of their players is 6'8". So I think Arizona's got a shot, and Duke's obviously the team that's playing the best right now, but I think Arizona's got a shot if they play that way, and Caleb Love's hit. Caleb Love gets hot.
If Arkansas is your Cinderella, that's like having Sofia Vergara be your Cinderella. That's a pretty good Cinderella. That's an impressive Cinderella. All right, let's talk about the track meet. BYU Bama. This thing is going to be like watching a ping pong match, because I knew the Wisconsin game would be fast as well, because that's what Wisconsin's not. Your father's Wisconsin. It's like new style, getting a race car Wisconsin. Well, Bama's that, and then energized even a little bit more for those that haven't watched Bama. But that thing, it could be first one to 90 wins this one. And it wouldn't surprise me if somebody goes over 100 if they start hitting some threes. But how do you break this one down? I know it's going to be a really fun game to watch. I can't wait to see how this one unfolds.
You're right, man. These are two explosive offenses, and neither one of them is afraid to go up and down with anybody. So, we've seen BYU during a Big 12 season. Alabama, we all know they don't care who they're going to go up and down with Auburn. They're going to go up and down with Kentucky. They believe in it. And what Alabama did against Drake, right? Drake was their last game.
St. Mary's.
I mean, St. Mary's. I'm saying I knew it was someone's son. Their ability to impact the pace of that game, that's so hard to do. As we know, when you slow a game down, that's kind of easier to do. But their ability to push that pace was so impressive to me. And BYU can do the same thing. What's interesting to me about BYU is, and again, I'm kind of an East Coast guy. I don't follow that as much.
Yeah.
But again, you never thought of them as a tough physical team. But that kid, Richie Saunders, gets to the foul line as well.
Yeah,
big guy. He's a tough son of a gun, man. He is physical at the guard spot.
Yep.
And Yegor Demon, even though he's 6'9" and kind of wiry, he gets to the foul line.
Yeah.
They are a scrappy physical team. And I give Alabama a little bit of the edge offensively, but I think the physical nature and the scrappiness of BYU can keep them in it, and they can score with Alabama. So I give BYU a shot in this game.
Who were you I don't want to go through all the games, but who were you most impressed with when you saw the way they played this weekend? Obviously, I've said Houston now can score, which makes them extremely scary because Houston's always been able to defend under Kelvin Sampson. Bunch of junkyard dogs out there. They'd throw it up and go get it and just keep going getting it and then wear you down with their physicality. Well, now they can shoot. Now they got guys on the team that can score. It's like, well, now they've become really scary because they can do both. I've been a fan of Texas Tech. I know they have a few injuries. I'm not sure McMillan's going to play, but I've been a fan of them as well. But they're just these big heavyweights now, and I'm just wondering how you see the rest of the field and like who you were impressed with over the first weekend. Because I think Houston and Florida were my two that I was going to pick. Because look, Jay, I'm a West Coast guy. I can't pick Duke. There's not a chance in hell I'm picking Duke. I don't care if somebody told me Duke was going to win. I wouldn't pick Duke. I can't do it. It's not inside me. I have my biases like everybody else. Who'd you see this weekend that you thought this team's rounding into shit? They're playing really good ball right now.
Well, Florida is the team to me, and the way they handled UConn, I thought UConn came out with a great game plan, executed it perfectly. Florida missed some free throws early in the game, turned the ball over a couple times. Looked like they felt a little bit of the pressure of being the 1 seed, which I have felt that pressure in the second round game when I was coaching. You play that first round game, you play great, and it's kind of easy, and every shot's going in. You're not turning the ball over, and all of a sudden you play that second game, you get an 8-9 team that just smacks you in the face. And I remember we lost. We were the number 1 overall seed. We lost NC State one time in a game like that. Had a shot to win it at the end, but we didn't make it. And I love the way Florida handled that and how Walter Clayton Jr. at the end took over.
Big shots.
Yeah, like a big-time guard. And they got a couple offensive rebounds on foul shots that I thought were big turning points in the game where a team that's going to win it has to have a guy or two like that's got the guts. The 2 shots that Walter Clayton Jr. made at the end of the game were not
those were stones. No, they were not.
and getting those offensive rebounds against UConn, who's a tough physical team, at the end of the game shows that they got some toughness to them, and they've got some commitment to doing the dirty work to win. So they really impressed me. But you mentioned Houston earlier, and I kind of feel like we're getting bored with Houston because I don't know how many games they've won in a row, but they haven't lost since they lost in kind of a crazy game against Texas Tech at home. And the point that you make about them shooting the ball, they're one of the top 3-point shooting teams in the country. You don't talk about it because defensively they're so dominant. And And in Juwan Roberts, they've got a guy that they can go to inside that can make plays. He doesn't look pretty, but he can make plays, and he can kick the ball out if he gets double teamed. He's a good decision maker. And LJ Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp, Milos Uzan, all three of those guards shoot it and can go get their own shot. So they're probably the two most impressive teams to me, other than Duke. But we really haven't seen Duke play the highest level teams yet.
Auburn, and that's a team I've seen limited amounts of time this year. Broom's obviously very, very good. Mazar Baker is kind of like the lightning rod for that team. Like he just kind of woos up and he's down, and sometimes he's there, sometimes he gets kicked out. Who knows? But they got some really good players on that team. I just haven't seen them enough. And like I said, I was most impressed with Houston and Florida. But where does Auburn fit into this? Because I know at the end of the season, maybe not playing their best ball, but hey, you've won 2 games. That's over with now. You're not worried about the end of the season. You're worried about now. So maybe they got their confidence back. But where do you see their path? They got Michigan this weekend.
Well, I've kind of gone with chalk this year just because I think the three teams that we just talked about, Duke, Florida, and Houston, I just think they're a little step above everybody, and they've all got depth enough to endure foul trouble, endure a bad shooting night from 1 or 2 guys. And then I've got Auburn winning it for the same reason, and just feeling like they're a little bit above the other 3 in that their depth up front, Janai Broome and Dylan Cardwell, and they got the other big guy. They got another big guy up front that's really tough. They've got great guard depth. Denver Jones, Miles Kelly. Denver Jones, one of the best perimeter defenders in the country. Chad Baker Mazara, like you said, is. I think the close games that they lose, he gets kicked out of the game. Like, he's got to stay in the game. He's a great defender. And Tahad Pettiford, the freshman,
I like him,
is one of their top scorers. And he's a guy at the end of the game they've gone to that can just go get his own shot and make big shots. So they've got the depth in that they've got a lot of shooters. They've got a lot of depth up front. They've got a lot of playmakers, and they've got a lot of really talented defensive players. I picked them to go through. And as you mentioned, they struggled a little bit at the end of the season, which you don't want to do, but it kind of brings you back to reality and makes you hungry again, and allows the coach to kind of get in your head again. It gives you some humility going forward, as opposed to these teams like Houston, Duke, who haven't lost in a long time. When you get deep into the tournament and you get down in a second half and you think like, damn, like we haven't been here in a long time. It's a little different.
I'm going to put the electrodes on you and give you a lie detector test and see if you answer this honestly. Is there any coach you're rooting for this time of year that's still in the tournament?
I am. You know who I was really rooting for? Mike Woodson at Indiana, and I thought they really got a tough deal not being in. I thought they should have been in the tournament. I kind of felt like over Texas, maybe even over Carolina, but I just wanted him to make the tournament his last year. But I would like to see guys like Kelvin Sampson, Bruce Pearl, Rick Barnes, guys who have not won a national championship, who have been consistently outstanding coaches. And we all know, like, having won it, I know some people have asked me, like, all right, once you won it, does it make it easier that you understand what you have to do? To me, it made me even more humble to realize the breaks we got along the way.
Yeah.
That you need to get to win it. You still need to be great, and you need to be totally committed, and you need to excel in your execution, but you got to get some breaks too. So I'd like to see those guys have had good enough teams to do it, and they've had some tough breaks. I'd like to see one of them get it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I always find myself rooting for Izzo. just because I look at him and I go, I would have liked to. I think I would have liked to have played
Yeah.
for him. He's like my era kind of, even though he coaches now, and he didn't really coach in my era. That was Judd Heathcote. That was back there when I was playing college ball. But I just like the way he coaches, a no nonsense approach, and just like I think he's a guy that I probably would have enjoyed playing for. So I always kind of feel like I want to root for Izzo. All right, let me ask you this, because my team was UCLA when I was at Arizona. I hated losing to UCLA. Like it killed me, Jay, to lose to UCLA. I grew up in Southern California. It was all UCLA growing up. Walton and 88 game win streak, and I just didn't like UCLA. Maybe because everybody else liked him, I didn't like him. But and they didn't recruit me, so I couldn't stand UCLA. I hated losing to UCLA.
What a shocker that is.
Is there a team as a coach that you hated losing to?
Yeah, I'll answer your question because I know where you're going with it. But honestly, when I was coaching, I hated losing to everybody. Like I hated losing, and I remember, when I was younger in coaching, some older coaches telling me, I'm at a point in my career where I hate losing far more than I enjoy winning. And I thought, that's weird. I thought that's weird, but I got that point at the end of my career. But probably the team that I hated losing to the most, and as I said, I hated all of them, but was probably UConn, because in the beginning, when we first got the job at Villanova, Jim Calhoun was coaching there. They were winning national championships, and that was kind of the model that you knew that was who you had to overcome to be successful. And then finally, when we did, then you never wanted to lose to them again. So when you did, it would kill you.
Yeah.
But I didn't hurt on all of them.
This is the crazy part, and I've talked to a bunch of athletes about this and coaches, is that when you win, it's almost a relief. When you lose, it's agonizing. And everybody remembers their worst defeats better than their best wins. Like, even if you win a championship, like I talked to Steve Young, he'll say he can remember the NFC championship games they lost against Cowboys with far more clarity than all the wins that they had, maybe even the Super Bowl win. It's I don't know what it is about, people that play at a high level and coach at a high level, but how do you deal with that as a coach? Because you want to have some jubilation after you win, and like if you're not, then why am I doing this? I can't even enjoy it. And then when I lose, I'm in agony until I get a chance to go feel relief again. Like it doesn't equate. Like the wins are here at this joy level, and the losses are here at this pain level. So I'm like, why do these guys do this?
I agree, man. I feel like as I look back on it, I have time to ponder these things. When I was in it, I was just in the agony that you're talking about constantly. And then as soon as you win a game, it will be relief for a day, and then you're worrying about losing the next game. But I feel like things balance out, because when you're early in your career and you haven't won yet, you really do appreciate the winning. And the losing doesn't. I mean, it hurts you, but you kind of you're more
resilient.
That drive to say it can inspire you. Like, okay, we got blown out by that team last year. We only lost by 5. We're getting better. We're going to get there. When you early in your career, but you're not having the success yet, and so you can really enjoy the wins. You're on top of the world, and after you win that big game, you think you're going to win the next game, and then you don't realize yet you're not good enough, and you're going to get crushed. But when the price you have to pay for success, which is worth it. And you see Danny Hurley went through it this year. Like, once you win a championship, then every other year that you don't win it is just misery. If you don't feel like you're on the path to do it and you don't do it, I think it's the trade-off of the price you have to pay for success, which,
Yeah.
I would tell our guys all the time, nobody cares. Like, don't you won a championship and we're pissed that we got beat in the Sweet 16. Don't complain because nobody cares. 80% of the people could care less, and the other 20% are happy we lost. So don't share it with anybody.
There's no doubt about that. All right, before I let you go, let me get a couple oddball questions from you. Do you remember your favorite dish that your mom used to make growing up?
Oh yeah, easy. Spaghetti and meatballs, man. That was my favorite.
That was the one?
Oh yeah. My mom made great spaghetti and meatballs. Loved it.
How often did you get there? Was that a once a week staple?
Yeah, about, but like when it was our birthday and we could ask for, she would make us our favorite meal. That'd be my favorite meal.
Okay. Is there one she made that you thought, oh no, not that one?
Yeah, my dad loved meatloaf. I hated it. And he would.
So did I.
And it was his birthday. That's what he wanted, to have meatloaf and mashed potatoes. I'd be like, oh, man.
Oh, that is such a old school diner thing to serve meatloaf and mashed potatoes.
Oh yeah. And my dad was such a simple dude, man. I was like, that just make him happy.
My dad was pinto. My dad grew up in Alabama, so my dad was pinto beans with a ham hock in it and cornbread. And he would take the cornbread, he'd crush it up, put it in a glass, and then pour milk on it. Oh. And I was like, I kept thinking to myself, I go, if that doesn't say country, nothing does. Nothing says country.
That's beautiful, man.
All right. What's the most trouble you got into as a kid, and what punishment did your parents give you for it?
When I was, I wasn't a saint, so that's why I was on top of my players. That's why I was on top of my players all the time. I would tell them, like, given free time, it's proven you're 18 and 22. It's proven you're going to make bad decisions. So I'm not giving any free time. I'm going to be on top of you to save you from yourself, because I did it all. Probably the first time my mom caught me drinking beer and I was getting sick, and she was next to me saying, here, she opened a can of beer as I was getting sick and give it to me. Say, here, drink this. Drink this now. You think you like this? All right, drink this now. My mom was tough. There's a place in Philadelphia, in North Philly, with the rough section called Kensington and Allegheny. They call K&A.
Okay.
I remember my dad, when my mom would do stuff like that, my dad would say, you can take the girl out of K&A, but you can't take the K&A out of the girl. And we were always afraid when she went K&A, we were in trouble.
Oh, when she went K&A. Oh, mom's going K&A. Look out. Oh, I bet you didn't like that beer much, did you, when you were throwing up?
Hell no. I'm not a great beer drinker to this day, probably because of that.
You're more of a wine guy.
I am. I like beer like after golf when it's cold outside. Inside, I'm more of a wine drinker.
Yeah, see, you and me, that's where our paths are not running parallel. You're more of a wine guy, and I live in one of the best wine regions in the world. Yeah. I don't like wine. Hey, before you run, I wondered. Now you've told this story. You told me this story, and you can tell me. We can edit this if we want to, but I love the story that you told me about when you were at Hofstra and outside the garden to get the tickets.
So glad.
Now, is that something you can share or no?
Yeah, I can now. I think I
don't want to get anybody in trouble, even though you're not even coaching anymore.
7 years, I think I'm 7 years past. I think I'm safe. We recruited a kid from Indiana, and he was coming in from Indiana. So we were at Hofstra, which is, New York Knicks country, and the Knicks were really good back then. Pat Riley was the coach. Ernie Grunfeld was the GM, and we didn't think the kid would be a Knicks fan. So he came in, he said, on his visit. I want to go to the Knicks, and Knicks were in the playoffs. And we were thinking, like, who would think the kid would be a Knicks fan? So we didn't have any tickets. And I asked my assistant, Tom Pecor, to get the kid. Said the kid's name was actually Mike Renfro, great kid. And he said, yeah, we'll get you. And I said, how are we going to get him in? He goes, don't worry about it. So we got on the train, went into Madison Square Garden. And this guy comes up to us in fatigues and a beard. And we're like, what are you doing? He goes, hey, Jay, Tommy. Turns out it's one of our buddies who's an undercover cop for Midtown South in Manhattan. He goes, what are you guys doing here? And my Tom Pecor, who grew up with him, my assistant, who's now the head coach of Quinnipiac, said, hey, we got to get these guys into the Knicks game. He goes, no problem. He goes over and grabs a scalper, and he goes, give me 4 tickets or you're going to jail. He takes the 4 tickets from the scalper, gives them to us. We give them to the kids. They go into the game on a recruiting visit. Tom and I are going back in the train, and I'm going, I don't know, Tom. You think that's an NCAA violation? I don't know. He goes, NCAA violation, forget about it. It's a felony.
That made you feel even better. Oh, that must have been a long train ride home. Long train.
It turns out there's nothing. We could get the kid tickets. We were allowed to have them go to the game, just no matter how we got them.
Yeah.
So I think it turned out all right.
Well, you know what's funny is like all these things that everybody looks at kind of, like with a side eye 5 years ago, then nobody even cares anymore. No way. It's just like, oh, that's like, okay, it's legal now. And everybody gets a pass for it. And I really don't care. But it's just so different now that like the whole money aspect and all I would say is this, Jay, I want the kids to get the money. I think they deserve the money. I just wish they would sign a contract. I wish it would be like for a year or 2 years. So we know you're not bouncing around just looking to better deal up every single year. I mean, coaches can leave, but players should be able to leave, but they'd have to break their contract to do it. And then you get one free transfer unless your coach leaves. After that, you got to sit out a year like you used to. But I just think there's too much now where guys are playing for 3 different schools in 3 years. And yeah, they're getting, maybe more money and better deals. But I don't know in the long run if it's really going to serve the players. It may serve them in the short term, but I don't think they're looking long term. And maybe someone looking out for the players should be looking out for long term.
I agree, Tom. And one of the things that no one is addressing that I really feel strongly about is we have to have contracts, and the contracts have to be connected to academics. One of the greatest things that college athletics do, every sport, and we're the only country in the world that does it. And it's why all these guys from all these international countries want to come, men and women want to come to the United States to play college athletics, is to get an education. And the use of academics to inspire young people at an age where they are not mature enough to understand all the time the advantages of having an education, to use it connected to athletics. Once they get there, they realize, wow, this is really good for me. We're really becoming just another pro sports league if we don't connect this to academics. And it provides our country with development of outstanding leaders who competed, maybe didn't get paid, but competed, failed, were members of teams, made it through adversity. Next to the military, it's our greatest proving ground for future leaders. And if we don't keep this connected to academics, we're going to lose, I think, one of the great training grounds in the world for leaders, which is college athletics.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a good point. Hey, have safe travels. You're going to be on Thursday through Sunday again this weekend, CBS?
Yeah. Yep, Thursday,
or
Friday,
True.
Atlanta. Thursday, Friday, Atlanta, Saturday, Sunday in New York.
Okay. I remember when the tourney first came to TBS, TNT, and True. I still remember I was looking for one of the tournament games, and it was on after the Johnny Cochran hour on True TV. I go, what the hell's going on here? Tournaments on True TV. What is this? You got Judge Judy on one side and Johnny Cochran on the other side, and like Alabama, St. Louis on in the middle. Oh my God, this is bizarre. But no, so I real quick, I need to get a run. How do you like just sit? Because you got to bounce around from game to game, right? You may do like at halftime, then right into the next halftime, then right into the next halftime. Yeah. I mean, it's got to take a little stamina to get all that done.
It does. Thursday and Friday are incredible. We literally come into the studio about 9:30 in the morning. The games start, and we tape some things before the noon game. And we, no exaggeration, we get out of there like 1:45 because TNT does the post game for the last games. So we do that for Thursday and Friday. It's exhausting, but it's fun. Like you got all these screens up and you're watching all these games. It's almost like being in a bar with your boys, except you can't drink, and you're watching all these games and trying to keep up. And there's a stat broadcast, you've probably used it, where you can get the stats of all the games so you can follow them all. Because sometimes, as you know, you're doing halftime of one game, you're leading into another game, and then as soon as the earlier game ended, you got to do the post game for that game. So you got to be following all of them. The first 2 days, it gets to be really fun now because you get to watch all the games, the entire game, and talk about them.
Yeah, back when I was doing studio, I would neither confirm nor deny whether I had a beer at halftime.
I've already told my crazy recruiting story, so I can confirm I don't have beers when I'm on the
air. Hey, Jay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Have a great time this weekend. Have a good call doing the studio, and hopefully we can catch up with you again at some point. But I do appreciate your time.
Great being with you, buddy. Hope I get out there and see you soon.
All right, absolutely. When you do, come out and say hi. Thanks, Jay.
Got it, buddy.
All right, take it easy.
Take care, Tom.
All right, as we continue getting ready for the baseball season, which is just around the corner. In fact, it's like almost upon us now. It's a pleasure to welcome to the show the manager of the Baltimore Orioles, Brandon Hyde, Santa Rosa's own, coming back to do the show. Brandon, I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me on. It's nice talking to you, and I'm excited to get the season started.
Yeah. So word is you were a pretty good hooper back in the day. Is this true?
A long time ago. In high school, I could shoot it a little bit. Yeah. Montgomery High School.
Yep.
Pretty good team. My junior year, 91, senior year, 92. Good players. Pretty good area at that time from a basketball standpoint. And, lost to Jason Kidd in the Oakland Coliseum in the NCS. I think it was semifinals or finals back in '92. But yeah, that was my favorite sport growing up. All I did was play basketball all day, every day, all the way through my childhood, and I miss it. I miss playing basketball.
So is it also true that your junior year, you beat the Berry boys at De La Salle in the playoffs?
No, my senior year. No, okay. You're right. My junior year. Brent, Drew Berry was the senior. They had Joe McClain went to Arizona.
Oh, okay, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe. Drew Berry. Armani Toomer was on that team. That was kind of a signature win for our high school at that point.
God, that team was loaded with athletes. Holy smokes.
They were really deep. I'm telling you, Bay Area. We used to play in some Bay Area city leagues too at USF. My dad would sign us up, and a handful of us we kind of form a team and go down there and play. There was good players all over the place in the Bay Area at that time.
You might remember the team that was around my time, the Cloverdale team with Craig McMillan and Craig Bergman back then. That team was stacked.
That team, my dad used to take me. I remember watching Craig at Pioneer High School in the Sonoma County Classic. I was probably in 5th or 6th grade, and then we went down and watched them in the Oakland Coliseum also. That was a big deal for our area to watch a small high school like that with Craig. Craig was a legend, still is, but a legend at that time of somebody you wanted to implement or somebody wanted to copy how he played the game of basketball.
Yeah, he's a legend now for cooking fish inside a dorm room. Which I mean, you want to talk about Brandon? You want to talk about bad? We shared a dorm. We each had our own room, shared a shared restroom, and it's hot as hell. Obviously, it's Tucson, so it's hot in there. And all of a sudden, I smell fish. I'm like, "What the hell is that?" And I go in the bathroom, and he's like scaling the fish in the shower. I'm like, "Bro, what are you doing, you hillbilly? You're killing me here. Like, I'm dying over here." And he's like, he just like, yeah, me, of course it's Clover. Mick just looks at me like, what? Like, what do you mean, what? That's not normal.
What a great
hell of a
player.
basketball player.
What a great player and what a great coach he is right now.
Yeah. No, he's done a great job up at Santa Rosa. So let's talk a little bit about the team as we head into the season. Now, you guys are a little banged out with Rodriguez not ready to go, Bradish not ready to go, Henderson not quite ready to go. There may be some others. Gibson might not be ready to go. Talk about that a little bit and kind of how you try to navigate this thing and just hold it steady while you get all the troops back.
Yeah, it's kind of a next man up mentality. I mean, we got pretty injury. We got caught with the injury bug last year a little bit, and for us to still win 91 games and get in the postseason, especially in the AL East, I was proud of that. We had a lot of guys get hurt last year, and like Bradish had Tommy John. He's going to be back sometime this summer. We're excited about that. We're getting Batista back, who he missed all of the year last year. Gibby, we just signed. Gibson, he'll be with us probably the second month of the season. Grayson, I'm hoping it's not too long. Probably miss a little bit of time, but if you just look around the league, everybody's kind of dealing with the same thing. Yeah. The pitcher's injuries is, there'll be more tomorrow and the next day. It's kind of the way our sport is right now, and that's why you need to create depth. And happy with the 5 starters we have going right now. I think they're going to give us a chance to win, and hopefully we get some reinforcements.
We were talking about that yesterday. I was talking to Dave Fleming, Giants broadcaster, and we were talking about how there is more technology now, more knowledge now. Training staffs have grown in size over the years. Pitchers are protected more. They don't pitch as many innings. They're trying to keep the stress off the pitchers. Yet these pitchers seem to be getting hurt at a higher rate than back when I was growing up watching. Like, it was huge news if one of the big pitchers of that era got hurt. You just expected them to go $180, 200, maybe 220, 230. But it's just weird to me. I understand why they're doing it, but you would think what it would lead to is healthier pitchers, and we're just not getting that. What am I missing here? Like, why is there that break there where we seem to have all this modern stuff, yet guys are getting hurt even more, seemingly?
With the amount of everybody's got performance teams around these guys, in every sport now. That's how it is. With nutrition as well as mental to the physical performance teams that everybody's invested in. But yeah, there's more injuries probably now than ever before. I think that the question is, I'm not a medical expert, but obviously I'm in the sport. I think that there's a huge deep dive into what the issue is, and I think you can trace it back to just what kids are doing these days, and the travel ball and the amount they throw. And I'm a travel ball dad right now, and I'm a dad to a sophomore in high school that does play a lot of baseball and plays way more than I did as a kid. So I think the training and the amount that they throw from an early age is way more than they did in our age. And then also as they progress, now there's way more private lessons. Everybody's got a pitching guy. You can go to any sort of, there's pitching farms that you go to where you're maxing out and they're training you how to throw hard. And I just think that a lot of kids and a lot of young adults, arms move too fast. And then as you get into college or professional baseball, the way that they train now is just so much different than the past. I was talking to Charlie Morton about this the other day. He's one of my starters. He's 41 years old, 17 years in the big leagues. And what his first 10 years were like compared to the last few from a training standpoint, just way different. At 2 o'clock, used to go in the big leagues. And when I broke into the big leagues 15 years ago, you go in the afternoon, pitchers would be running pulls. Pitchers would be running running bleachers. No, you don't see that anymore. It's all about power and high performance and short spurts and things like that. Is that equaling more injuries? I don't know. I do know that people are getting hurt more, it feels like.
Yeah.
But they're also throwing way harder than they did 10 years ago. And so, yeah, hopefully we can try to figure this thing out as an industry, because it is unfortunate.
Yeah, I think it's weird too, because we were talking about it with basketball yesterday too. I went back like to 1988, 89, back when I first started playing, and the top 20 players, there were 12, 13, maybe even 14, 15 of those guys that played 80 games, and a couple of them, like 4 or 5, played 82. Now nobody plays 82, nobody plays 80. Guys are playing 75, and I just find it I just find it fascinating why we have more, yet it's less of these guys on the bump, on the court, whatever it is. But hopefully they'll be able to figure it out, because I think that is what, to me anyways, in basketball and baseball more so, the analytics is taking away a little bit of the entertainment, because I come to see the pitchers, I come to see the players, and if I show up at a basketball game and Steph isn't playing, or Giannis or Joker, I'm like, what are we doing? They're just sitting out. Like I want to see these guys. I remember Clemens and Stewart pitching to the Coliseum. Like that's what we want to see, but we're not. And I don't blame the teams per se, because they want to win. They're doing what they think is in their best interest. But as a sport, sometimes I feel like the analytics is kind of overwhelmed, or kind of taken over the entertainment aspect. And I think we need to kind of figure that out a little bit.
Totally agree. The load management stuff is in our sport also. And, I get a daily sheet. Every manager does. They get a daily sheet on how these guys are moving, their sprint speeds, all these type of things. That all the information that we get is that, and these guys are bigger, stronger, faster than ever before too. I think that's what the NBA too. So it's just the athlete is just is so big and strong now. Than back when me and you were playing high school basketball, we're wearing short shorts and not lifting many weights. That's the bottom line. But able to play all day, every day too. So, I don't know what the right thing to do there is.
Yeah. Well, no, except for when we wear the short shirts, I got the chafing. That's when my day ended. I was like, okay, we're
no doubt now. That as
well. So talk about the decision to move left field then. I mean, it used to be the Polo Grounds out there. I was like, you cannot hit a home run to left field in Camden. I go, this play, it went from like home runs flying out to like nobody get a home run. I guess you guys decided to split the difference a little bit. Let's make it accessible without making it a bandbox. Was that kind of the idea?
Yeah, I understood the reason why they moved the wall back. In the American League East, the way the ball travels in the summertime in Baltimore, and it's 360 something in left center field gap, balls were just flying out of there. And you see lefties miss hit balls the other way for homers. That's a problem. And also to compete in our division, you got to be able to have pitching, and to attract pitchers in a really, really hitter friendly ballpark is not the easiest thing to do. So I understood why they moved the wall back. Now, do they take it a little too far? Probably. And I think that they're correcting it this year by kind of, like you said, splitting the difference. I know that our hitters are really happy about it.
But they are.
It was frustrating. It was really, really frustrating for our guys. We lost a lot of homers. We lost some homers in the postseason last year. We only scored 1 run in 2 games.
That.
We lost 2 or 3 homers. I think it's going to play more fair now, and I think our guys are going to get guys that square a ball up to the left field are going to get rewarded for what should be a homer in almost every other place.
Is there? Now I haven't watched you guys enough. I do watch the Orioles, but I haven't seen Rushman play enough. But is there any kind of comparison there with him and Buster Posey at a young age? And look, Buster's probably a borderline. I think he's a Hall of Famer, but we'll see about that. So I don't want to say he is, but you look at him and the way he handles his staff and kind of the maturity in which he plays with. And again, I'm not that close, so I don't watch all the games, and I'm curious your thoughts on it.
No, that's where they're similar for me. Yeah, and it's hard to compare anybody to Buster. Buster had a Hall of Fame career and 3 World Series championships, and was the leader on a really, really good team for a great era of Giants baseball. Hopefully, Adley can be that. I think Adley has the opportunity, the chance to be that kind of player. He's he had a tough second half last year, but besides that, the way his career has gone so far, he is working his way toward a Buster Posey type of career, and it's because of it is about the way he goes about his business. It's the energy with how he plays. It's how he works so well with the pitching staff. How he's a smart player, the ability to take a really good at bat, a really tough in tough spots and come through. Just a leader on the field. So that's kind of where I understand those similarities and see why people say that. But like I said, Buster's going to be in the Hall of Fame, but I think Adley's on a great path, and he's going to be a really good player in this league for a long time.
And what is it that we see Gunnar Henderson when he plays and how good he is? What don't we see that makes him the player that he is?
It's his makeup. He's just a real special kid. I mean, he's 23 years old. So, it's a year out of college with being one of the best players in our league. It's 6'4", 230. He flies with a great arm and every tool in the toolbox he has. It's the mental part for me and how determined he is and how confident he is in a cocky way and in the right way, where he literally doesn't think anybody should get him out ever. He's just not awed by any sort of moment. And, I have to try to tone him down a little bit. He thinks that he should be the best player in the league. And there's just this refuse to fail type of attitude that he has that nobody really sees, but he plays with his hair on fire. He's so easy to coach and he's gonna be great. He's already a really, really good player. This guy's gonna be like he is right now, cover on video games.
No, he's special. There's no doubt about it. How tough was it last year for Jackson Holiday? Because I can't remember somebody who I knew about and people that follow baseball knew about and anticipated a call up. Maybe Bryce Harper was the last one that we're thinking, oh, can't wait to see this guy come up. And then just so much pressure because you expect, is he going to get a home run his first at bat? Is he going to get a home run every at bat? Uh-huh. And I know players say, why just go out there and play? But you feel stuff. I mean, you feel stuff that's external stuff that you don't want to, but it happens. I'm wondering how much of that, because I know you brought him up, called him back, and then he came up at the end of the year. How much of that is just trying to get him to say, look, you just got to do your thing and go out there? And maybe, having gone through it for a year, that'll take care of itself. But I can't imagine what he was going through early on. I mean, no one knew what he looked like, but everybody knew his name. When he got called up, everybody wanted to watch an Orioles game.
Right. Yeah. Unfair to him. That's how I felt the whole time last year, starting in spring training. I just felt the attention for a 20-year-old that's 2 years out of high school from Stillwater, Oklahoma, with his dad being a major league great player for a long time. Yeah. Kind of the expectations, and he brought it upon himself by putting up ridiculous minor league numbers. So the way he flew the way he flew through the minor league system, people just assumed that he was just gonna step right in and continue that. And the gap between the minor leagues and the major leagues is so big right now that and the attention and the expectations and the pressure and everything you're dealing with, these guys have to deal with social media wise and everything else. It's a lot to handle, and it was unfair to him. I remember we were playing in Fenway. He's 2 weeks into his big league career. We're on Apple TV. They're following him with a camera, literally wherever he went. And I'm just sitting back, and I'm just like, this kid just needs to go play. This isn't even fair. He can't even walk anywhere without a camera in his face. So that's been the focus this spring. He's had a heck of a spring. He's played great, just because I think the attention's kind of off him a little bit, and the pressure of him having to really contribute to a good team is kind of off. Where it's just now he's just able to go play and feel more comfortable as you could be at 21 years old in the big leagues. And he played that way in spring, so hopefully he carries it through the season.
What did you notice last year about did we lose? There he is.
Sorry about.
What'd you notice last year about how teams approach playing you? Because the year before, 101 wins, and before that, it was kind of like, oh, I'm playing the Orioles. I'm playing the Orioles, and now all of a sudden, you're one of the teams that's expected to make the playoffs, and one of the better teams in the AL East. How did they approach you last year versus the previous years? Is it like, hey, we better tighten things up? We got the Orioles.
Yeah, I think this division is different because of any other division because of the major markets. So the Boston, Toronto, New York, and the superstars throughout the middle of the orders. And then you add in Tampa which is one of the best pitching staffs, and just historically the last 20 years have just been able to pitch and play in a weird place in the Trop. And so it's a unique division from the star power that's in this division and the payrolls. So when you're talking about last year, we were a team that was $100 million payroll team, and you're going against $300 million payroll teams. You got to be able to when you're able to pitch to them, you got to be able to compete with them. Nobody took us for granted anymore. Starting really 2 years ago, but nobody took us for granted anymore. They understood how athletic they were. We were really left-handed, so we saw everybody's left-hander. We saw the best two left-handers in their bullpen every single night. So you could see the teams were setting the rotation a little bit to when they come in to face us. Those type of things I noticed that I didn't in previous years.
Let me get your thoughts on a couple rule changes that may or may not be coming. Robo-ump.
Yeah.
I guess that says it all.
It's real. You know what? I was just talking to Buster Olney about this because we just went through this ABS system in spring training.
Yeah.
And we probably had 15 games with it. I think it's a really good fan experience, honestly. I think it's, when a guy misses when it's a close pitch and they challenge and it goes to the Jumbotron, everybody's looking at it and there's an ooh or ah, it's a thing. And it's kind of interesting, honestly. I've been in this league long enough now, and I have so many relationships with some of these umpires that I almost feel a little bit bad for them because I think that it's going to put even more spotlight on them. And these young umpires that are coming up are so good already because they've gone through so much of this ABS training throughout the minor leagues that I'm a little bit sensitive about it. But I do understand the fan experience of it, and I think I think there's a chance it's going to get implemented. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. But it was the first time I saw it this year, and I did think it was really interesting.
You know what I can't wait for? I can't wait till we implement this. And every time a batter thinks a ball was called a strike, he looks over the dugout and goes. It's like, oh. Well, I get so much of that in the NBA every time. It's like the whole game now. It's like, let's challenge. I'm like, because I used to be total. I was like, I'm for replay. I'm for all technology. Bring it on. And then along with technology comes unintended consequences of slowing the game down and just, disrupting the flow of the game. Challenges that should take a minute that take 4 minutes. I mean, that's my thing. I've always said if it takes a minute, then obviously it's not conclusive. Let's just move on and keep playing the ball game. But I think our fascination with getting everything exactly right in sports where players don't get everything exactly right, I've moved away from it. Like, I still think there should be a replay booth where somebody looks and goes, you know what, that was wrong. Like the Denkinger play. Like, you know what, he did that. No, he was safe or he was out, whatever. But the whole replay now, again, it's getting to a point where I'm like, God, is this really what we bargained for? I don't know.
The replay system in general is taking it to a place where there's things that are happening now that's not intended, where a guy comes off the bag by a half inch and you keep a tag on. Those kind of things. Those are the kind of things that wasn't the reason for why they started in the first place. This ABS system now, this is super. It is super fast, and I was really surprised by how fast it is. I mean, it goes right to the board, and it's in 5-10 seconds. It shows you if it's a hard strike. So the game does move, but what it does is it does take the human element out of the game, and the fact of and they're trying to get the game to be quicker, which I totally understand too. The game is going to be slower because the strike zone is going to be small. We saw it in spring training. The strike zone is smaller than ever before because these guys do not want to miss any pitch off the edge. And so I think it's a little bit be careful what you wish for on this. But I agree with you. Like, in football and basketball, you do want to get the big calls right, and you don't want to have the umpires determine the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
But I think they're still working through the process of it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, golden batter rule.
Oh, I don't know. I've actually never even seen that, so I'm not sure how that's actually even gonna work. I mean,
they can't do that, I mean,
no,
I just kind of brought that up because they brought it. Baseball
No.
brought it up, but I'm like,
I know.
you guys got to be joking, right? We don't have a 10-point shot in basketball. Like now, you're just tricking up the game for tricking it up's sake.
Yeah, no, I think that's gonna be.
Here comes Ohtani. Here comes Betts. Wait, here comes Ohtani again.
That's what
great.
That's what it feels like already when you play the Dodgers or you play the Yankees. It feels like Judge is hitting every time it's a big spot. So,
Exactly.
no, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think it's going to happen either. Do you remember your first ejection?
I actually wasn't managing. I was a bench coach. I got tossed one time for Joe Madden. Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Sir, what were the circumstances? Who was the ump?
The ump he's retired now.
Is he?
Yeah, I didn't like Wilson Contreras was our catcher in Chicago. It was 2018, and I just felt like the umpire was giving him a really hard time. He took his mask off on him, and I kind of lost it from the dugout. So, but I didn't get fined. I don't know what happened. They must have felt I was right. But
they must have felt you're in the right.
I do have a few a year, unfortunately, that kind of just happens. Usually I'm not proud of it when I see the YouTube videos or people talking about it after the fact. But yeah, it's part of the game.
Well, we don't get that type of entertainment anymore, right? We don't get Earl Weaver. We don't get Lou Piniella. We don't get Tommy Lasorda. I told Steve Kerr that I go, before you retire, do me one favor. Give me one Tommy Lasorda rant. Just one Tommy Lasorda rant or Lee Elia, something like that. I go, we don't get that anymore. Like managers aren't afforded that opportunity to do that kind of stuff. I go, it's a different age, a little more sensitive. And the teams are like corporations now. They're like big corporations. They're not like mom and pop shops, something like that, where you can just go ahead and kind of do. Doesn't seem quaint anymore. But I do miss those days. I'll sit around some nights, Brandon, and just like, I'm going to listen to Tommy Lasorda for 20 minutes and just listen to old rants. They're the best.
Go listen
Dave
to
Kingman.
The Earl Weaver in the World Series is one of the best of all time. This doesn't leave the field. It's is that the one where he was arguing with the first base ump? Yeah, it's unbelievable. Whenever I get tossed in Baltimore, and if I do a little something, I mean the place does go nuts. I mean they
does it?
They love they wish for the Earl Weaver days for sure.
I don't know if that was McClellan at first base. Maybe it was. I just remember him being at first base. I know why they sent you here. They sent you here to fuck us. That's what they sent you here for.
That's what it was. That's exactly the right one.
All right, a couple more and then we'll let you run. We appreciate it. Do you remember your worst loss as a sports fan? Like your most hurtful loss?
Well, for me, it was in the postseason last year as a manager.
No, as a fan. I know you're a fan of your team, but you're also managing.
Worst sports
like
loss?
Growing up as a kid.
I was such a big Niners and Giants fan growing up. I'm trying to think of a really bad loss that they had that hit me. I got pretty lucky being a Niners fan. They were.
Yeah, you did.
There was a couple NFC.
Were you around for the Niners Giants loss in the playoffs? Niners
Montana,
Redskins at the time
when Jim Burt knocked Montana out.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean I was definitely in on all those days, watching all those games. And I was diehard too. My dad too. We were big time Giants and Niners fans. I think.
All right. What do you remember?
No, you know what? The Giants A's World Series. That was the tough. I wanted the Giants to win that World Series.
Yeah, that whole World Series was funky.
Yeah.
That was just a funky World Series. All right. Favorite dish growing up?
Favorite food?
That mom made. Yep.
Ooh. My mom cooked well. She made really good Italian food. So any sort of pasta, I still love pasta. I love Italian food now. She had great breakfast, so pancakes in the morning a lot. Yeah, I'm gonna go pancakes in the morning.
Love pancakes. Love pancakes. All right, last one. What was the most severe punishment you received from your parents, and what did you do to earn that punishment?
I'll tell you what. I have two of the most amazing parents you could possibly have. Both were school teachers, 3rd and 4th grade, retired now. They were the most mild-mannered Sonoma County style parenting. I honestly grew up not having many rules. It was more of if I ever disappointed my parents. I never got.
Disappointment's the worst.
And I had many times where I was not, I could have gotten in trouble. But it was more of the look from my dad when I came home, or my mom asking if she could talk to me about because something was really bothering her that I did. And when she had that kind of tone, that was worse than any sort of yelling or screaming or anything like that. The one that sticks out with me was I probably in 3rd or 4th grade, I crossed a really busy street with a basketball on a bike and a radio going to play pick up basketball at Proctor Terrace, in which I was not allowed to cross that street on my bike. And that was a long talking to for safety reasons after. But there were many times in high school that I should have gotten in trouble, which I didn't. So I appreciate them so much for the way that they handled me.
Oh, that is beautiful. Hey, I really appreciate you making the time. It was great to catch up with you. Hopefully we can check in with you throughout the course of the season. I know it's super busy when it's baseball season. You guys got a lot on your plate, but thank you so much for making time. That was a real treat.
Anytime, Tom. It's great to talk to you, and just let me know. I'm more than happy to be on.
Yeah, and when you guys come out to the Bay Area, come see you.
Sacramento this year too.
Well, maybe not then.
It's gonna be hot.
See you, Brandon.
Okay, see you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.